Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salam ala Sayyidina Mursaleen amma ba'd. The question is asking here, is it permissible for a man to propose to a sister and the sister to take a number of proposals so that then she can filter through the different proposals and then choose one that she wants? Or does she have to look at them individually, one at a time, and then accept or reject, accept or reject? I'm not sure if I've worded this the best way, but is she allowed to have multiple proposals for the purpose of marriage? And the same applies to trade as well. So say I'm selling this cup and this person next to me wants to buy it for 10. Am I allowed to ask, well, who wants to pay 11? And the answer to that question, to summarize the question, I'm going to give a detailed answer. The answer is yes. And if you want the detailed answer, you can carry on listening. If you just want a summarized answer, we can say, yes, she is allowed to have more than one suitor propose to her, and then she takes the time in thinking about which one she wants to get married to, and then make the final decision. There's no harm in that whatsoever. That's the answer. Now, what's the evidence for that? There was a woman at the time of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Her name was Fatima bint Qais. What was her name? Fatima bint Qais. She was married to a man, and that man then divorced her, and his name was Abu Amr ibn Hafs radiyallahu anhu. He divorced her, completely divorced her. She says to Abu Amr, I want my money so you can look after me during the iddah period. He said, no, there is no looking after. The final talaq, the third talaq, that's it. You're on your way. You don't live with me and I'm not going to support you or anything. Khalas. Marriage is completely finished. So she went to the Messenger of Allah complaining. She said, Ya Rasulullah, I'm still married to this person. This is the third talaq, and he's refusing to give me accommodation, and he's refusing to give me maintenance. He's not giving me any food, no drink, nothing. So Messenger of Allah said, yeah, that's correct. He doesn't owe you anything anymore, because after the second talaq, the third talaq, if it takes place, khalas, that's it, they're over. So he says to her, radiallahu anha, do your iddah period. Your husband doesn't want you anymore. Do the iddah period in the house of a woman called Shuraik. Now I'm just going to break away for a second. Shuraik, her real name was Ghaziya bint Jabir radiallahu anha. She is a woman, she went to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and she proposed to him in wahabat nafsaha lin nabi, in the ayah in Surah Ahzab. She said, Ya Rasulullah, marry me please. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, I'm not in need of getting married. I'm very sorry, but I'm not interested in getting married right now. I've got other wives. So you know what she did? She said, I'm not going to get married then. I'm going to wait for the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to turn around and say to me, I want to marry you, even though he said no. Now a person might think, okay, well, why didn't she get married then? Isn't that a bit extreme? The answer to that question has been given by some of the ulama is that she had no real interest in getting married, and she did want to get married to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam if she was to get married. And if it was an option of whether being with the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam or remaining alone or marrying someone else, she would have rather just waited and remained alone and then married the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam if the opportunity ever arose. This is the amount of love that she had for the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She said, if he doesn't want to get married to me, I won't get married. I'll just wait for him. If he changes his mind, alhamdulillah. Shuraik, what she used to do every Jumu'ah and every now and then, she used to prepare food in her house and she used to call the companions over and they used to come and eat. Men used to come to her house and she used to prepare really nice food and everyone used to come and eat. Now in this, there's another lesson, which is that there are interactions that can take place between male and female who are not mahram to one another, as long as there is no, nothing haram that is being said. So the Messenger of Allah ﷺ says to Fatima bint Qais, do your iddah period in the house of Shuraik. She's a very generous woman, she makes food, etc. But then he realized, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, now this teaches us that in dunyawi matters and in ijtihad matters, the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, can change his mind. So he says to her, Fatima radiallahu anha, don't do iddah there because there's a lot of men coming and going. And during the iddah period, it's not permissible for a woman to be, interacting with men unnecessarily. And they might come to the house and they know that you're in your iddah, etc. So he says, go to the house of Ibn Maktoum. He's a blind man. That way, you don't have to wear your hijab. You stay in one side of the house, he stays in another side of the house, and then it's fine. And this is now evidence for us to say that in front of blind people, or those people who have no shahwa, etc. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in Surah An-Nur, that a woman doesn't necessarily need to wear hijab as long as, again, there is no fear of fitna or ikhtilat or mixing, etc. or describing or etc. Right? So he goes, he said to her, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, she should then do the iddah in the house of Ibn Maktoum. And then he said, after your iddah period is over, come to me and tell me, what's happened. فَإِذَا حَلَلْتِ فَأَذِنِينِ. When you have finished your iddah, come to me and tell me what's happened. Tell me that the iddah period is over. Once the iddah period is over, she came to the Messenger of Allah and told her what has happened. She has now been proposed to by Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan, a man called Abu Jaham ibn Hisham, and she had the option of marrying Usama ibn Zayd. Now here's the point. 3 men have proposed to her at the same time. Is it permissible? The answer is yes. Otherwise the Messenger of Allah ﷺ would not have permitted it. He would have said, no, look at Muawiyah first, and if you don't want to get married to Muawiyah, then marry someone else. So she says to the Messenger of Allah, Muawiyah has proposed to me, Abu Jahm has proposed to me, and then there's also the option of Usama ibn Zayd. So the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, don't marry Muawiyah. Don't marry Muawiyah. Because Muawiyah, it's not nice for us to talk about the companions in this manner. But Muawiyah, فَسَلُوكٌ لَا مَالَ لَهُ. He is a person who is not going to look after you financially. As for Abu Jahm, not Abu Jahl. As for Abu Jahm, فَلَا يَدْ عَصَاهُ عَنْ عَاتِقَيْهِ. His stick doesn't leave his shoulders, meaning he's very strict, very stern, the way he talks. So he's not appropriate for you either. Inkihi Usama bin Zayd. Marry Usama bin Zayd. Now we know from other narrations that Usama bin Zayd, this has nothing to do with his complexion or anything, but she had no attraction towards him. He was darker in skin color, etc. So she said, radiallahu anha, I'm not really that attracted to him. So the Messenger of Allah said again, Inkihi Usama bin Zayd. I'm telling you, marry Usama bin Zayd, he is better for you. So she married him. And in the narration, it says that they had a lot of children and they had a very, very wonderful marriage, to the extent that people were envious of them. Meaning, they say, oh, this married couple, this family is amazing. I wish I had a family like this. Fatima bin Qais, radiallahu anha, married Usama bin Zayd, the son of Zayd bin Haritha. Now, in this is proof, as Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah is saying here, in this is proof for us to say that you can have more than one proposal, just like you can have more than one offer when it comes to trade. What is not permissible is for you to undercut someone. That is haram. So if I say to you, would you pay 10 for this glass? And you say yes. If he comes, and we've agreed now, we've made an agreement, and he comes now, Muhammad comes and, no, I'll give you 11. I'm going to get more money. I can't say to you now, no, listen, I don't want your 10 anymore. I'm going to go with the 11. Once the agreement has been made, you're not allowed to undercut your brother. The Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, لا تبيع. Do not undercut your brother. لا تبيع. بيئكم أحدكم أم بيء بعد. وَكُونُوا عِبَادَ اللَّهِ إِخْوَانًا. And be brothers to one another. Because this now teaches us that once an agreement has been made and I go against the agreement, then it can create, argumentation and hatred. If I'm said to you, I'm going to sell it for 10, and then he says, no, I'll give you 11, could end up disliking one another. Therefore, if nothing has been agreed, then you can have more than one option, more than one proposal. If something has been agreed, so she says, yes, I want to marry this person, then another person can't come around and say, well, why marry me instead, I'm better, etc. That is not permissible. So hopefully this has answered the question, and we've had, inshallah, a number of benefits from the evidence that has been presented. The hadith in its asl is from Sahih Muslim of Fatima bin Qais, but there are other narrations as well from Bayhaqi and Abu Dawood and others, and this is just a compilation of different ahadith in one, inshallah, event. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He grants us all tawfiq and success. and that He allows us to find partners which are going to be beneficial for us and for our children and our progeny, and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala arises another generation of pious Muslims that are going to benefit Islam and the Ummah. هذا والله أعلم وصلى اللهم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.